Welcome back. This is Speaking the Game, episode 3. Welcome back. Just a quick recap to last episode. We spoke a little bit about The Last Dance. We spoke on our thoughts on Isaiah Thomas. We also talked about the top 15 greatest point guards of all time. Who's on?
In our opinions.
Yes, on our opinions. We talked a little bit about the Detroit Pistons, where they are and where they're going to be in the future. And just to remind you, I'm your host, All Right, with the lovely co-host
Elise, aka head coach Elite.
So once again, you should know by now, and if you don't know, you will know soon. We're here to put the cover back so you guys can enjoy some of the conversations that we have, sharing the conversations once we pull that curtain back. Like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel. We'd love to hear your comments. If you got any complaints, please direct it to her. Follow her Twitter, and she'll be the one to spend a lot of time talking to you. I only talk to a select few, but if you're lucky, I'll talk to you as well.
Hit me up.
But let's get into it. Let's talk about 9 out of 10.
AG 9 out of 10. Let's put some respect on man's name, please.
Gordon 9 out of 10.
Straight flame, straight fire.
Woo. Do you feel
he's been dropping a couple tracks, and he's not bad. Like, he's a pretty good rapper.
Let me see if I can do something real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheap. You hear that?
Yeah.
I think, and I say this because I really think, like, I agree. I think he did his thing on his last couple of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
For rapping not being his thing or the thing that he's known for, like, we're gonna mention other rappers, NBA rappers, in a little bit, but I was shocked that he was as skilled as he was.
I'm a Magic fan, and AG is my current favorite Magic player. Like, he has been for like 3 seasons now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked. Like, and it sounds effortless. Like, the flow is nice. He rides the beat real well, and that's what I like personally from my rappers. Someone who ride the beat. His punchlines are pretty freaking witty. Like 90 M's, 80 M's in a bag, that's a bargain. Like, you know what? You're right, actually. If I'm looking at it, like, you're hella young. You've been in the league for almost 6 years now. Yeah, that is a bargain. Because you're still not even 26.
He still got his prime. And the thing is, it's like, did he get robbed? Yes. He got robbed this time. I'm not gonna say he got robbed against Zach LaVine. I don't care what anybody says. Like, Zach
LaVine's a crazy good dunker.
Zach LaVine won that dunk.
But this one,
but this last dunk contest, Aaron Gordon should have won.
The NBA should be ashamed. Now, I have a theory on that. I put it up on my Twitter. I think I might still have it pinned. So Dwayne Wade is signed to who? Shoe-wise.
Yep.
Aaron Gordon just signed a shoe deal with another Chinese
competitor right before the All-Star break.
Right before the All-Star break. So now if AG wins the slam dunk contest, guess whose shoes will be selling out like crazy?
Right now, nobody's.
Right now, nobody's. Correct. Right now, nobody's. But if AG won, his shoes will sold out like crazy in China and all throughout Asia. And Dwayne Wade can let that happen. You got your former teammate up there, an organization that's going to retire your jersey, and a competitor in the shoe industry, in the Chinese shoe industry. No, you can't let that happen.
I think that's the whole issue, is the conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And Dwayne Wade's from Chicago. Fam, how many other people? How many people could you got and to judge that's from Chicago?
Too many.
Like, if you're gonna put Dwayne Wade, who just retired, like, if you're gonna do that, I would say make them years removed from the league and they're so far removed from the team that they didn't even play with anybody that's on that team. Like, for instance, if the All-Star game was in LA, right? Mm-hmm. Shaq could be one of the judges.
Yep.
I'd be all for Shaq being a judge because it's not a biased situation. But if it was in Sacramento and somebody from Sacramento's in the dunk contest, I'm sorry, Shaq, you got part ownership in the Kings. I can't. No, it's a conflict of interest to me. You know,
it is. It definitely is. I'm gonna pull up a little article here that my shout out boy Justin runs the zonebb.com. He put an article out about the AG 9 for 10, and he separated some bars that I liked.
You know, we could talk that rap talk.
Hey, paint me the villain. I jumped over the biggest dude in the building.
He did. Taco
100%. Taco messed him up. Let's be honest. Taco messed him up. You look at the picture.
It doesn't. Yeah,
he still jumped over him though.
But it doesn't change. Here's my thing. You just, as a judge, you gave Pat Cottington a 50 for jumping over Giannis and doing the same dunk.
Over.
So.
All right.
And if we're looking at it equivalency, like Pat Cottington clearing Giannis was a lot easier than AG clearing Taco.
Yep.
If we're being honest and we're looking at it, so, and it's nothing to take away from Pat Cottington. Pat Cottington is super athletic, but Aaron Gordon should have won. I'm glad that he used his quarantine to do the diss record. That let me know it was out of fun. Mm-hmm. At this point, he didn't have any malice. He might have been mad, but I look at it as like, yo, this is the last time I'm addressing this. After this, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And he said a line, I forgot exactly what line it was, where he basically said he was done chasing the dunk contest trophies. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like, if you're an Orlando Magic fan, you should be happy. Because
I'm ecstatic. I'm super ecstatic right now.
Maybe he's going to focus now on his actual career, and he's not just a dunker. That's why I love that everybody wanted Zach LaVine to be in the dunk contest. And I love the fact that he was in a three-point contest because he can shoot. He can shoot. Now, did he win? No. But he put his hat in the ring. Like, he got 2 trophies. What else? You don't go to the Hall of Fame for winning multiple dunk contests. Like, you don't become all NBA by winning multiple dunk contests. Like, fam, look at Kobe. Kobe won one and left. He said, I'm out.
Yep. So I'm gonna read another bar for you. Mm-hmm. 9 out of 10. Can you please check your lens? 9 out of 10. Here we go again. This ain't nothing. Let us sink in. Pretty much that line right there says, this ain't nothing, man. I'm done with this. Like, this, I'm over this. This ain't nothing new for me. People always counting me out. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna prove something else. I like AG, man. This right here made me like AG more.
That's the part that kind of bugs me because I really, and this is what pisses me off, but this is what gets me a little bit irate, is that people think that he actually beat Zach LaVine. And I said, Zach LaVine was doing stuff from the free throw line that we have never seen anybody else do. Name a player that you've seen do anything remotely close and just jump from the free throw line and dunk it. This dude windmill caught an alley from the free throw line. Like, there's a lot of things that was done from the free throw line that warrants him winning. So I don't care about the comparisons. Now let's talk about just this 9 out of 10. We're not talking about the first dunk contest. We're talking about this last one, the one that he actually won, the one that he was robbed. He wasn't robbed the first one. That dunk contest could have went either way.
Here goes another line. It's just one line. 6 years in the league, I'm just wetting my feet. 100%. He's only been in the league for 6 years. I can't wait to see what's coming after this. I hate to say this, I think the Magic will trade him eventually because he's going to have the highest asking price. He will. He's going to be the most valuable player the Magic have when it comes to trade season. But guess what? I'm still going to follow this dude even if he gets traded or leaves. I like AG. This song just solidified that for me.
Here's my thing with the Magic. They don't know what they're doing.
They have no.
So, and when I say they, I mean the organization. And we had this conversation before, and I think it's something that is going to be revisited and re-talked about over and over again. is I think organizations make or break players. I think, and to Jerry Krause's point, where he said, "Well, organizations win championships." Yes, if you have the right players, because the right player, the right system could turn a role player to a superstar, i.e., a player like Draymond. Draymond eats in that type of system. So when you look at Orlando, it's like, what can you do? You have Gordon, you have Isaac, you have Mo Bamba, you have Fultz. That's your future right now. And there's a chance that you're going to have another high quality, athletic, skilled player that you can get in this year's draft. Plus you have last year's first round pick that hasn't played yet. So as an organization, if they had an opportunity to reset last year, but they signed Vooch. Why would you sign Vooch back? You just drafted your potential center of the future, but now you want to re-sign this dude.
Listen.
And it's not like you signed him for like $5-10 million. You signed him for 100 plus.
Anyways, listen. This 9 out of 10 track, I like it. It's actually in my rotation. His last song, Pull Up, I actually like Pull Up. It wasn't in my rotation. 9 out of 10, I'm playing it once, twice a day. I'm not gonna lie to you. I won't run in this morning. I won't run into it. It brings that energy. Like,
it's a vibe.
If this is the energy he's bringing in to the rest of the season, or even to next season, whenever the NBA, recontinues, I'm excited to see where AG is going to end up. Like, I think this song just kind of put the league on notice for him.
Words wise, like yes. Now he's gonna have to back it up. And that's where
I'm waiting for the Dame. I'm waiting for the Marvin Bagley rebuttals. But that goes into our next topic.
But I don't think they're gonna be dissing him because ain't nobody stepping up for DWade Wade. And who's gonna step up for DWade Wade? Shaq? I bet.
Yo, Shaq drop bars for days. Shaq is like
Shaq's my dude. I'm not gonna touch.
Shaq is low key like Joe Budden. He's just gonna put out diss track after diss track after diss track after diss track. You ain't gotta answer because I'm still coming.
Listen, Joe Budden is one of the best rappers to ever grace a mic, so I don't really want to have this conversation right now because
I got you.
A lot of people are gonna hate me for the fact that I just said that he's one of the best rappers to ever touch a mic, lyricist.
Let's get back to AG.
But AG did his thing. Not just storytelling. He was on his Drake, but then like he had a little Jay-Z in him. Like Jay-Z back then, I say Jay-Z where when he dissed you, like you knew it was at you. He didn't have to say your name. He knew it was at you. You everybody that hears it knows it's directed to you. Right? It's the shot heard around the world where when you talk diss records, and I love diss records and bringing Joe Budden up, like Joe Budden is if I diss you, like the world's gonna know I'm dissing. Like I'm talking to you, so there's no confusion. You don't need to run it back, and if you do run it back, you're gonna have to understand how many bars that I actually threw at you all at once, and you got to be prepared for it. Whereas you look at the guys like Drake be like, I'm gonna dish you, but I'm gonna dish you with clown
in 2 bars. And I'm gonna dish you like in 2 bars.
Yeah.
The whole song is not about you, just 2-3 bars about you.
And it's gonna be subtle. Where except for when he did with Meek, and that's a completely different situation. Because Meek wasn't in his right mind. But that's just a little game for the people that want to be rappers. Like,
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Out of all these NBA players who are rappers, who you like?
I'm gonna be honest, I love Dame. Dame's one of those dudes that, and it's not because he's like, I've been listening to him since his first project drop.
I like his voice. His voice sounds really good.
His cadence is amazing. And it's like, if he was doing rap full time, he'd be good. He could probably be top 10, top 15 current.
You know what I like about Dame? His first couple projects, he didn't curse
at all.
That's what I like about it.
It was so his.
I think his last project was the first time he started cursing, and honestly, didn't mind it too much. It wasn't like too much. But
I don't think he needs it.
He don't need it.
I think that's a pocket that he has, that Will Smith pocket, but he also he's that, like when he wasn't cursing, like I was like, he's like Will Smith but on steroids. because he got bars. He can go at you. He could attack it. You could feel his swag. You could feel his vibe. You could feel everything he's trying to portray, and he don't even have to curse. That's huge. And as a former lyricist myself, if you can write a bar or you could get your point across without having to curse, I think that's the ultimate talent.
Yeah,
because that shows you that you're great with words. I'm just gonna mention a few because AI was one of my favorites as well.
Talk about swag rap.
Because my dude, if the league didn't shut him down, if they didn't threaten to trade him out of Philly, we would have got that album, and that album would have been phenomenal. You're talking about
Flames,
late 90s, early 2000 rap.
I have a question. Does Pharrell jump in there to help him with production? Because they're all from Virginia, they're all from right around the same area. Does Pharrell help him out? Does Timberland help him out? Does Missy help him out with a little bit of lyrics? Do we get a little bit of R&B flow with some Teddy Riley? Because they're all from the same.
From AI?
I'm just saying. Like, if AI drops an album,
but
AI's like,
forget,
hey.
You forget, AI was on a Swiss track. That Reebok joint was a Swiss track.
Ooh.
Oh, you got to put it in perspective. Like, I think he could flow on anybody's track. But you got to remember, his album was going to come out, and David Stern mixed it. Like, if Iverson, if you're listening to this, please drop that. Like, drop what you had.
AI, drop it.
You're already in the Hall of Fame. They can't take that from you. You're already in the Hall of Fame. Kobe, I listened to Kobe. Kobe had a little thing. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say he was great as a rapper, but Kobe did his thing on a couple records.
He was good enough to get a music video and meet his future wife.
Then you got Tony Parker. And Tony Parker
gotta go.
No, you gotta hear it in French. You gotta hear it in French. Don't listen to the American version.
Have French. I don't want to hear it. I don't like French rap.
He had a song with Fabulous that was good. All right. Then you got Shump, because Shump could spit.
Shump man.
Of course you got Shaq, because he's the only one to go diamond or platinum, multi-platinum. So you got Shaq.
Spinning his own records on his own Vegas sets.
Shaq is just different, and I think Shaq set the tone for guys like Dame to come out and do what they're doing.
Well, we can also bring up DWade, because DWade put out a song with Rick Ross this year. Trash.
You know what? You made me remember Kevin Durant. Nice.
He nice with it?
Yes. I think it was a Dave East record he was on. I forgot what record he was on.
They did play ball together, didn't they?
Yes. Like, he was like, KD was like, I think it was like his second or third year in the league. Like, he was featured on somebody's record. I forgot what record it was, but he was nice. You just jogged my memory real quick, because I was like, oh snap, I forgot about KD. Like, KD's pen game is strong, but I don't think he's on Dame's level as far as a rapper. But don't sleep on KD, because
Dame's still up there.
Dame right now is the pinnacle, and I think Marvin Bagley's not too far from him. And the difference is Marvin Bagley got the production bag, because when he was at Duke, who do you think he was studying with? People sleep. But Ninth Wonder is a professor at Duke.
Bruh.
So when you put it in perspective, I think Bagley could do damage. I love the little back and forth they had. I kind of wish that they didn't do a back and forth, because I don't think NBA players need to be beefing in that sense. I think they should have just teamed up and made a record together. I think that would have been dope for the NBA, for basketball players, because it's sad when basketball players are better than some of the guys that are out right now.
And basketball players right now are the most popular athletes in the world. I know soccer, people be like, soccer. You're right. But when LeBron James walked into a room, when James Harden, okay, you got Ronaldo and Messi. Listen, I'm American, so just let me be.
I mean, we're not going to talk soccer, not right now, but I get what you're saying. A lot of basketball opens the doors for a lot for the players, especially CJ McCollum said it best. Like, once the whole suspensions started, he said, start thinking about your career after basketball, use this time. And I think it's important.
Then
So
he said the same thing.
So when you got guys that they actually have talent. Like, it's not like these dudes are doing it and they suck. Like, nah, these dudes are doing it and they actually have talent. Like, they're good at it. You know, they can compete and they have the funds where they don't have to go to somebody else to fund their project. They can fund their own project. So I think that's pretty amazing. Especially if you have the right team around you. I think anything is possible. You don't really need a record label anyway, so you own your own masters, and that's another thing, is if you make one hot song, like, you could be good for years, for generations. Before we go to the next subject, I do want to throw out probably one of the best producers that nobody knows. Actually, two guys that are really, really, really good producers, two former NBA players that are really, really good producers that nobody knows. Chris Webber,
really,
and Chris Bosh.
I didn't know that.
Yep, Chris Webber and Chris Bosh are actually they're really, really good on the boards.
Looks like you gave me some more homework to do.
Chris Webber made some solid beats and stuff. So just throw that out there. So transitioning, because we talked a little about old and new when it came down to rap. So let's talk about what's your thoughts on the next generation of superstars? Like, do you think that they're ready to take the mantle, or do you think that we get another 3 to 4 years of those guys in between before those guys are ready to take over?
Now, when I saw this on the list, I was like, okay, who are the next guys to really take over the league? The first two names that pop in my head, Luka Doncic and Trae Young.
Yep, and of course, they're tied to the hip.
They're tied to the hip together because that trade, but they're both so good. Yep. So if, let's just say, the league is just down to two superstars to carry the league through, I think Luka and Trae are perfect. Luka because he has that whole international side. Mm-hmm. Trae Young, he looks like every other guy walking the streets. So it's kind of other little. So Steph Curry looks tiny, but Steph Curry's 6'4". Trae Young's legit 6'1", 6'2". Like, he's legit, and he's not a big guy. He's small. I mean, I like it.
That's my thing about not just the next generation, but especially when you talk about a guy like Trae Young. Trae Young can be marketed in ways that most of these players can't be. And when you look at Steph, and I think I mentioned before, he could be Steph on steroids.
Yep, because he's actually an average height.
He literally shows you what hard work can do. Mm-hmm. Like, if you just put and I was talking to this to one of my former players the other day, because he was like, well, my cousin's gonna be a freshman in college next year. I said, listen, and he's like, yeah, he's 6'6", and I was explaining to him, like, I was like, out here we got a 6'9" kid. I saw a 6'9" kid, sophomore, was a shooting guard out here. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, yo, and he's nice and he's athletic. He's not your typical 6'9", but I was explaining to him, I was like, look, I said, if anything that the documentary showed me and anything like guys like Trae Young showed me was anything is possible if you're willing to do the work that nobody else wants to do. Yep. Like, now a lot of people are willing to do the work just to get to college, and this because we had these conversations. How many times have we had these conversations?
Too many times.
And then when you had a coach that said, listen, I'm rewarding the ones that work hard, now what happens? It's an easy game.
Easy.
And and you got players now, and it's just explaining, when you look at a guy like Trae Young knew what he wanted. He just didn't want college. Like, he wanted the league. And when he got to the league, he wasn't satisfied just being in the league.
He wanted to be one of the best players of all time. He wants to be the best player in the league.
And what goes unnoticed, and I think shouldn't go missing, is the fact that people overlook the fact that the role that his dad actually plays in his career. Like, his dad, a former college player, I believe I think he played in the NBA too. I'm not sure. But when you put it together and you say, hey, this is what you want, I'm going to give you the blueprint. His dad gave him the blueprint. And what's crazy and what's scary is if his brother can be better than him. Yep. And all he has to do is put in the work.
The blueprint's already there.
Yeah, the blueprint is already laid. So it's like, all right, well, since the blueprint is laid, how are you going to work on the building? Because if I give you this blueprint and I say, hey, realistically, you can get this done in 3 to 5 months.
Easy.
But if you want to stretch it out, you can get it done in 3 to 5 years. You're not going to be in the same place 3 to 5 years ago 3 to 5 years from now that you wanted to be in because somebody was busy doing that work. So
I thought about some other players.
Who do you got?
You know, we also talked about, them JJ boys up there with the Boston, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Yeah. Those two. Another guy that I've just thought about, Michael Porter Jr. Just from
course.
That's one. He was arguably the number 1 draft pick.
If he stays
going
healthy.
into that college season. I know one name you said was Ben Simmons. I made a face at first, but if Ben Simmons can leave Philly, or Ben and Joel, they need to be separated. They have to be separated
at some point.
And whenever that happens, I think we're going to see a much different Ben Simmons, and I can't wait to see that Ben.
I think it happens.
Can you think of any other players? I can't think of any other players.
I got a lot. We got Zion, of course.
Oh shoot, Zion, and then John Morant.
You got Ja. You got, I think, Brandon Ingram. The Ball brothers.
All the Ball brothers. Melo for sure.
Melo and Zoe, I think, they're going to turn the league upside down in the next couple of years. Believe it or not, I think I kind of like Jalen Green, and I've liked him for a while. I think when we did this list on Twitter, almost a year ago, I think I mentioned him and RJ Hampton. And this was before RJ Hampton finished school early so he could go play professional overseas. So to put it in perspective,
you did say Jalen Green was about to be this dude coming out the 2021 draft.
Yeah, so I look at those guys and I think the league is going to be in good hands. You got to remember, we still got Amani Bates coming in, and he's going to be a part of this generation.
That dude could drop out of high school right now, sign whatever deal he can, homeschool if he wanted to. He'll be ready by next year.
I feel like he needs to go overseas next year.
He needs to do the Melo.
Just go pro. And
play around these kids ain't doing you no good.
Because he'll be able to see. With his frame, I think he'll be able to see and figure out how he can adjust to people stronger than him.
So for those of y'all who don't know who Monty Bates is, as a sophomore, he was named the Gatorade National Player of the Year as a sophomore in high school.
Indeed. So, and that's huge.
This dude has 2 more years. So out of Jaylen Brown, the guy who just decided he's going to go to the G League for $500,000, Jalen Green.
Yeah.
Who just signed a $500,000 contract with the NBA G League. Mm-hmm. Monty Bates, who is a sophomore, was named National Gatorade Player of the Year. He's the only sophomore to ever be named that. This dude could drop out of high school right now and go overseas and make buco bucks and be ready for the draft if they change the age by next year.
I think the benefit of that, they're going to change it to 18, I think by 2020.
Yeah.
So which is not 2020, but 2022. Which is his draft, which is his class. And that's another thing, and another player that we didn't mention is you got to look at the Mikey Williams in high schools right now. But my thing is, and the Dior's,
I like Dior. That dude is sweet.
My thing is, because he might be the next best, one of the next guards to come out of New York. He's from New York. He played in Cali this year.
New York needs another one, man. It's been a while. But it's been a while for New York.
He's going to Oak Hill next year. So my thing is with that is understanding that the talent, sometimes some of those players don't make it. So I don't want to put too much pressure on those guys. Mikey's great, super athletic, but is there room for his game to grow? Dior, same thing. He's athletic, but he said, my passing is my best skill. All right, cool. I can't wait to see it at Oak Hill. Because I know he has handle. I know he has athleticism. I know he can score. I know he could. He scored, 1,000 points by his 8th grade year in high school. So,
makes no sense.
Which is crazy. No varsity. But I'm taking away from those guys. And then you got Chet, who's 6'6". You got McCurr, Maker, which is Don's cousin. Like,
man, hold on, we can't talk about this dude. I don't know how old this guy is, man. I don't know how old this guy is, man.
I mean, but that's
he's looking like a 28-year-old out there.
That's a conversation for another day. But you know, I think
African players coming over without a birth certificate.
Not just a lot of those guys that, you know, haven't touched the league, haven't sniffed the league, but there's a chance that they could be in the league pretty soon. Like, he has a unique opportunity that he could be in the draft, or he can go to college. Which actually,
that's what Thon Maker did, correct? Exactly what
Don played prep in Canada,
but he went to prep school in Canada
instead of going to college. Yeah, which it's all about team. Don was a small forward. He was a small forward when he came out of high school.
Let me tell you why he did that. Because you need a birth certificate to apply for college, don't you?
Oh, he was good. He was good for college. He was good. He'd been in the States forever. So of course he got a birth certificate. He was going to American schools.
I'm ready to see this.
He went to Australia, then he went to Canada.
That's what
so he went to Australia and he did like a prep thing in Australia, I think it was. And he should have just played pro. Because if he had just gone his pro route, it would have been different. Because he was a small forward and he has skill. Like, he has guard skills at 7'1". Like, wait, no, he's 7'1", he's playing at center. Like, man, half these coaches don't know what they're doing with the talent that they get, and that's frustrating. Because, and I get it, you have a guy like Giannis who's growing into his body, but Giannis was 6'9" when he got into the league. Now he's 7 feet, 7'1".
How about that? That's another name we forgot to mention. Giannis, Giannis is still young.
He's young, but like, I still consider him when you think he's been in the league for what, 5-6 years.
Yeah, but still, he's still young. So when we say the next group of NBA players, he will be starting to age out when he really take over.
But I think he's now. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, we're talking next. I think he's already now. Like, he's here. And by the time he starts to dwindle down, those dudes are going to start rising up. Like, think about it. You give him 5 years. Zion's 19 right now.
Crazy.
What is he at 24? What is Zion at 24? Like, think about it. Melo is 18. What is he at 23?
It's a scary freaking thought.
And Melo's been playing pro since he was 16. So when you put it in perspective, and you got to think, we mentioned Amani Bates. Amani Bates is more skilled at 6'9" at 16 years old than Giannis was when me and you both looked at his tape and said, yo, he's going to be special. And that's what we have, because we had that conversation before the draft. And we was like, yo, it was crazy how we both did it, because we both basically text each other at the same time. It was like, yo, did you see this dude out of Greece? Did you see this dude? Yo, like, he's going to be nice.
Yep. Even with that grainy footage.
Yes. But when we put it all together, we was like, whoa, wait a minute.
The right organization gets a hold of this dude. It's about to be scary.
And that's what I feel like. Organizations need to start taking ownership of the people that they draft and start having plans for them. So if you don't have a plan, I mean, some of these guys are going to end up being busts, and it ain't even going to be on them. It's going to be because they're looking for guidance and they're looking for leadership. And these organizations don't give guidance and leadership. Like I said, I'm not trying to tip my hat off to Jerry Krause too much, but just as much as the players play, you need the right people in the right system to align the right players together. Like, he didn't put another alpha with Mike. No, you want to know what he did? He put a whole bunch of people that are great and humble in their position and forced Michael to make them better. He put the right coach in there to get in Michael's head, because Phil's a lot like Dean Smith in many ways. So when you put it in perspective, it's like, yo, as much as you want to hate Krause, like Krause did more for MJ than anybody's gonna want to talk or give him credit for. Listen. And I completely understand, because he was an idiot to want to break it down super early. That's not what we're here for. But so, speaking of the balls, because I know we talked about the great news just came out that they're signing with the Roc. They're gonna go with Roc Sports. Roc Nation Sports. So
huge power moves. I think a lot of people on Twitter were shocked to see that even Jello ball sign. And I want to say about a couple months ago, we both got into a couple people on Twitter about Jello. And I'm like, I'm really confused as to where all this Jello hate comes from. The dude's a 6'5", 6'6" shooting guard that weighs 240. I don't think y'all understand. 240, 250 is what your centers and power forwards play.
And he's solid.
He's solid, and he has the best looking shot.
He's
quickest shot. He's fluid. He's the smartest. I mean, I'm gonna say smartest player, most fundamentally sound player out of those three ball brothers.
He's the most adaptable because Melo and Zoe need the ball in their hands.
They need the ball to
be
Jello
effective, to create. Whereas Jello benefited because they were always creating for him.
I think I used the example. If the league found a way to put a 6'3" shooting guard named JJ Redick to thrive in this league, I think a 6'5" Jello ball could figure out a way to thrive in this league too. Now, I think what happened in China derailed him greatly.
Yes and no. I feel like when it comes down to Jello, Melo taking over the reins when Zoe left to go to UCLA, and Melo hitting that free throw shot, Melo being the reason why everybody was looking. I think that kind of hurt Jello. Like, Jello's always been sandwiched in between his brothers. But if you were to take Jello away,
perfect middle child, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, and you think like J. Cole got a song called Middle Child, perfect for Jello. Like, but Jello, you take Jello away from those guys. Like, people forget Jello dropped 70 points in a game in high school. Like, he can get buckets. Like, everybody talk, oh, Melo dropped this, but Jello dropped it a couple games prior too.
The difference is Melo and Zoe have the ball in their hands, like you said, and Jello's doing it off of screens. He's doing it off of rebounds.
He's working. He's working for his. He's getting up the court. He's beating people down the court, and he's pulling. He's making layups. Like,
look,
Jello's way better than a lot of people want to perceive, and a lot of people put that LeVar tag on him. And I'm like, all right, cool. Y'all keep sleeping on LeVar, but LeVar hasn't missed. LeVar don't miss. I was like, when you look at Zoe, and Zoe plays his game, and Zoe's comfortable, Zoe works, right? Zoe's a winner. He knows how to win, right? So now you look at a guy like Jello, and I'm like, yo, the only thing that I see that improved in Zoe that most people overlook is his defense. Zoe became a better defender.
I definitely overlooked it.
He became a better defender while his offense was struggling because he knew his offense was going to come back.
He wanted to stay on that floor. He wanted to help his team win.
And now look at it. So now you look at a guy like Jello, and yes, he is strong, but I think what people also fail to realize is that Jello's athleticism came in after the fact too. Like, Jello wasn't as athletic as Zoe when he came out because he was a little husky.
He's a little heavy.
But he grew 2 inches and he got more athletic because I saw that when him and Melo went overseas. So then at the same time, once again, no, he's overshadowed by Melo because Melo hits a super growth spurt. Melo,
16, 17 years old doing this. Now he's growing. Now he's 6'7", 6'8". What?
Yeah, and I was like, and they just say he grew another like 1.5 inches or 2 inches. So, fam, if Melo comes in at 6'9", and he is not the number one pick, somebody in somebody's organization need to get fired.
I would like to know if Clutch Sports tried to sign him.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I would like to know, just because, do you sign all three just to get Melo? Just because right now Melo is like,
UCLA signed all three just to get Zoe.
Ain't that crazy?
So,
and they messed up. UCLA should be kicking themselves in the foot right now because they messed up with Jello. They could have had Melo. They could have had Melo if they played their cards right. I'm
gonna tell you this: they was never getting Melo.
They could have.
They was never getting Melo.
Think about it. If things don't get derailed, like, and they said it. I don't know if you watched the show. LeVar said it. If it wasn't for Jello getting in trouble at UCLA and they handled it the way they did, they would have never gone over to the Ukraine. He would have never gone over to that prep school. He would have never gone over to Australia.
Here's what everybody keeps forgetting. Chino Hill's got a new coach. that
like it.
that LeVar didn't like. So LeVar was in the process of pulling LaMelo out at the same time that the whole situation with Jello happened.
Yeah,
So,
but I still don't see it happening.
And then you got to understand is that he was trying to build the BBB brand. So guess what?
Doing a lot, man.
Guess what? You got to remember, he released a Melo sneaker. He didn't release a Jello sneaker because Jello was at UCLA.
Couldn't do it.
Because he was at UCLA. So think about it. He was already in high school and he already released the Melo sneaker. So just off that sneaker alone, he was ineligible for college. This is why I'm saying Melo wasn't going to UCLA. It wasn't going to happen. Man. But
speaking about talking about the NCAA.
Yeah. So while we're there, let's bring up that proposal that we just read about not too long ago.
So the proposal pretty much states what we're talking about is the NCAA just released a proposal this morning that stated that players are now allowed to sign endorsement contracts through third party in the community whatsoever based off their likeliness, their likelihood, whatever. But the schools cannot be involved with those contracts. So now I'm confused. Can the players get agents to facilitate this? Can they get a management?
Yes.
Facilitator to. I'm confused.
All right, so this is interesting because I want to say it was like almost 2 years ago where the NCAA created that rule: if you don't get drafted, you can go back, whether you sign an agent or not. Top picks, top projected players could always go back to school if they get drafted. So that was the one rule. Remember?
No. They couldn't sign an agent.
No.
They couldn't.
If they got
drafted, they can then sign an agent.
If they didn't get drafted, they can go back to school if they didn't sign an agent. You're right.
But if they signed an agent, they're screwed.
So me and you talked about this on episode number 1, the first episode. We talked about this, and we said the NCAA is either going to have to change the way the NBA is setting everything up. The NCAA is either going to have to change, or they're going to have to let schools go. The ruling in California changed the NCAA's decision because California would have literally been sitting down on a monopoly in the NCAA because they would have easily got the best players. So you're like, well, how can this player go to this school? Because, all right, cool, because they're going to be allowed to get paid off their likeliness anyway. Whether the NCAA does that or not, what the NCAA did is in what we spoke about, they just even the playing field. So you're saying, well, can they get agents? Let me ask you a question. How many schools in D1 are sponsored by a shoe company? Okay. So roughly what's the percentage you would say of D1 players play in the EYBL?
I would say at least 20 to 30%.
That play D1?
EYBL? Yeah, because you got a couple of them, at least, how many is it?
Well over 60 or 70%.
Is it 60, 70?
60 or 70%.
And that's Nike.
Yes. So you can see where I'm going. There's no more ABC. There's no more Adidas, right? They don't do anything. They haven't done anything.
Under Armour. Under Armour doing something.
But now you got Under Armour, right?
And then Jordan Brand.
Jordan Brand's under Nike. They're under the EYBL. So it doesn't really matter in that case. I say this because
Adidas didn't do nothing because they just throw money at everybody.
Well, that's where Adidas messed up too, is because, and they told on themselves, but that's a whole nother different conversation. I'm not trying to have a conversation about that. But what this does is, now think about this. If you're a player and I come to recruit you, right? And I really want you to come to my school, and I'm a Nike school, or I'm Adidas school, or I'm an Under Armour school, guess who has the reps number? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. You don't want the school to get involved. How do you think players have been getting paid since jump? Players that do get paid, they don't get paid directly from the school. Where do they get paid? A roundabout way. Oh, this person happens to know this person's family. Okay. Friend of the family just donated this much money. Okay. So listen,
I think this is a tricky slope, man. It's a tricky slope. They're trying to put a Band-Aid. They're like, let's say we're in a boat. They're trying to put a little Band-Aid on a big hole full of water flowing in. Like,
now,
just let them get paid, man. Let the schools pay them.
Don't forget the other rule that the NCAA is allowing.
Which is?
They're allowing certified representation for the top players to have a certified agent can represent the top players while they're in school.
These kids, I think the NCAA just needs to come out and say, just pay these kids. They don't have to go to class. Because, like, guess what? If I got an agent and I'm trying to get all the money I need to get, I ain't going to class.
But think about this. This is a rule. Like, this is a rule that they already have. Because that's why the whole Rich Paul situation happened, right? Where he wasn't qualified because he didn't get a college degree per se.
All you need is certified.
Right? So now, then they reversed that rule and they said, oh no, you have to be certified, just a certified agent. Okay, so you're telling me that the top athletes can have a certified agent while they're in school. Who do you think is going to be brokering the deals for which school that this player goes to? So if you're one of the top players in the school, in your class, you're allowed to have an agent who can then broker with a Nike, with an Adidas, with any of these other brands to say, hey, I want you on my campus. How much are you going to pay? I can now have a bidding war between two schools and a top athlete without the school being involved. So the coaches aren't going to be able to pick their players. They're not picking their players for the most part. They're not picking their top players. They're sending somebody else to do the negotiation with that team's agent, with that player's agent to get them at the school.
Universities will either come up with their own agents through alumni system, or the shoe companies will have their own offshoot division, even more so than just talent acquisition. They already have it. But
they already have it. It's called the EYBL. It's called the summer leagues. And that's why the NCAA was trying to crack down on travel basketball, because they couldn't get a grip on it, not understanding.
The toothpaste is already out the damn. Yeah. They're already out the tube, man. Like, you can't put it back in. Sorry.
What they don't
basketball brings in a lot of money. Sorry, these kids earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're not paying them. Guess what? They need to go pro.
Whether kids go pro or not early, the NCAA is still going to have to pay their athletes, and still should pay their athletes regardless, the way I see it. So I don't care if you let kids come out of school, straight out of high school. Those kids that are still playing still should get money. Like, if you're going to still be generating these large crowds, because guess what? Whether those talented players are there or not, people are still going to show up to every single game. They're not going to be like, oh, this is trash. No, because if you understand the value and the skill set of basketball now, globally, there's not that much difference between any of the levels except how many people pack the stands.
Correct.
So, I mean, with that said, what else do you think could change from this benefit?
I think we're about to see the Power 5 conferences really flex their muscles. I think the times of seeing a Cinderella team come up, that ain't happening no more. We're not going to see Cinderella teams in March Madness, if there ever is a March Madness. It's not going to happen. I think we're moving closer and closer to a super packed conference. I think Coach Calipari stated this before. Instead of there being 5 different conferences for here and there, let all the big schools that have all this money, that have all these resources to bring in as much money as possible, go and pour us up in the conferences. You got the entire Southeast, you got the entire Southwest, you got the entire Northwest, the entire Northeast. Because those are going to be the schools that generate the most money and that could pay these players the most money.
In order to do that, which is not really a bad idea,
leave the NCAA. That's all. You're going to have to leave.
And partner with the NBA.
Partner with the NBA. And we're moving closer and closer to that with the NBA trying to make up their own youth academies. We're moving closer and closer to that.
They have that. They have that in other countries. The NBA is just. The NBA is. That's where professional basketball in America needs to catch up.
They're talking about doing academies similar to what soccer fans are used to over in Europe, where, Barcelona has their youth leagues. Well, guess what? How about, the Northeast Division teams? Any team that falls in the Northeast, whether it be from Indiana Pacers on over, Detroit Pistons, they all have their 2-3 schools that they give money to.
What if I told you Nike already has that set up?
Oh, I know they do. Come on now.
And the NBA been tracking the EYBL And because the EYBL is probably the most intense when you're talking about individual statistical tracking for the players. So with that advancement and what they're able to do there and how they're able to do it, the NBA could literally adapt. And it sucks right now because it's like, well, how do you do that without the dominance of the brand like Nike? How do you do that without the dominance of a brand like, Adidas? How do you do that without the dominance of a brand like the NCAA? Well, what you do is you copy that mode. You get the best coaches, you get the best players from that state, and you make a league. And every other league, and they're going to another state, and you got multiple teams. When you put all the states together, you can have multiple sites going on at once, where you're seeing versions, levels. When you think youth basketball, you have 17U, you can have 15U, and you can have 13U. Think about that. And traveling every other weekend, and it's sponsored by that state. You don't think that? Come on. And all you need is the shoe companies to come together for that and team up with the league. So now it's like, all right, well, you have each company sponsors 2 or 3 teams.
People don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. People want to hear they play the game because they love it. They play the game. No. These kids play the game so they can get their tournaments out the hood.
They're not at these AAU tournaments. They're not at these travel league tournaments.
Parents are putting their kids. I can only talk from my standing, right? Mm-hmm. I grew up pretty nice. My parents didn't have us a tournament every other weekend or every single weekend just because we love basketball. They put us in there so we can get a free education. Some of these players now, they can be getting tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars in their AAU span because guess what? That's how much money some of these AAU teams are making. Some of these
build brands.
Permanent.
Yeah. You build brands. But that's what I'm saying. Like, think about this because we see a lot more youth sports on TV, right? Or youth sports available. So it's not like the NCAA and it's not like the NBA can't make a youth league with the sponsorships of these brands. So it's not like these kids are associated. They can't sign like a brand deal, but give them the gear. They're one of the best in their state. They're one of the best here. They're this. And now, because this is what they should do for soccer, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I think.
But when you're talking about youth development,
I think the NBA itself wants to do this. I don't think the governors want to do this. Does that make sense?
The governors of the NBA?
The governors of the NBA, at the end of the day, they control what the commissioner is allowed to do. The NBA commissioner, the NBA might want to do this now, sooner than later. The governor's like, man, that's another thing I gotta put my name to. If it fails, it's on me, blah, 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 blah.
But it's all right, but you gotta look in the future. You gotta look for the future. And it's crazy because, so that brings us to the next topic, because you like, let's talk about Dianna Taurasi and ownership, because I feel like that's important. She was on live the other day with Sue Bird. I forgot who else she was on live with, but she was
it was a power couple. It was a power couple.
I think it was Penny was it Penny Taylor on there too?
And Megan Rapinoe. It was the power couple meeting.
And they said, when you retire, are you thinking about getting in management? And she said, I'm trying to get in ownership. And I love it. Like, I fully respect that she would like to get in ownership and that she would like to be in ownership. And I think she has enough connections at this point through basketball that I don't see too many people that wouldn't want to put in. And my question is, even with that, like, how do you feel about that as a woman, as a former athlete, basketball player? Like, I know Kara Lawson was your go-to, but
that was my girl. That was my girl.
How would you feel about that?
Okay, so I view Taurasi similar as I view Kobe. Mm-hmm. I don't think they would have been great for ownership at all. I don't think it'd be good for management at all. We see how ownership does when the greatest player of all time is owning a team. But now, from aesthetics, the NBA looked really good when they allowed Michael to become an owner, because all the owners had to vote on that. You don't just become an owner. I think the WNBA needs to do something. What do their players do? There are more former WNBA players who are coaching college or coaching in the NBA now than are actually coaches in the WNBA. What does that do for the next little girl who wants to go into playing basketball and now they don't see their favorite former player being in ownership? There is no more. Yeah. What else can you do? I think it's amazing. I think it would be a great step up.
You set the bar, and I think that's important. Like, I'm old enough to remember when the WNBA first started, when they were battling with the other basketball league too. And you had Jennifer Azzi was in the other league. She wasn't even in the WNBA. And I was just like, yo, it'd be nice if, she was in the WNBA. Dawn Staley's one of my favorite guards of all time, like point guards, like hands down. Loved Sue Bird, being from up north. Like, I got to see her in college. So, but then again, I was a spark. Like, bro, I love basketball. So of course I was watching WNBA. As much as I love the Sparks, let me tell you about Tisha Penicheiro.
Tell me about it.
She was she was another one of those great passers. She was Pistol Pete. She was Magic Johnson. She was White Chocolate. She was all that mixed in one. But unfortunately, she played for Sacramento and not the Sparks. So there's that. But I think when you look at the future of women's basketball, I think it's important because at some point, if you're a fan of the game and you're a fan of the sport, you have to make that decision. Like, you can't just support one. You can't just support men's basketball and be like, oh, I love basketball. Like, nah, you don't love basketball because you won't sit and watch women's basketball. And I literally want to ask people, what do you love about men's basketball that you won't watch women's basketball? Oh, they can't dunk. Half the dudes in the league don't dunk like that. How many dunks are literally averaged in the game? Like, look at those numbers.
Not 50%. Not 50% the shots.
And I said, and
it's whatever.
So you got fundamentals, and I think you have to legit be a real basketball head to sit and watch women's basketball. So as we watch or as the game grows, I feel like it'll be good. You got women coming in. You got unbelievable talent. You got girls dunking right now in 7th and 8th grade. Like,
a couple questions came to mind though. Like, knowing what WNBA players make, how does she think she's going to get into ownership? So now these are the questions that came to mind. How much money does she make over in Europe? We don't really know because it's in Russia. What are the connections she has in Russia for her to think she can get an ownership?
But that's what I said. She got connect. Like, I think throughout her. All right. So just like you said, you compare her to Kobe, right? Anything Kobe does, his name holds weight.
Correct. Her name has to hold weight too.
Anything Dianna Taurasi does, her name holds weight. Like, I don't think Booker was joking when he was like, yo, she's the GOAT. Like, nah, she's a real deal, one of the top 5 best female players to ever play the game.
All time.
She's on that Mount Rushmore, and it's tough to even make that Rushmore. So
the last question I had, though, that I asked myself when I saw this topic on there on our podcast, how much are WNBA teams valued? How low value are they?
I don't think they're as valued as high as they should. And here's my conversation, because we had this conversation, I want to say almost a year ago, with a friend on Twitter, and we were trying to explain to them why women should get paid more. The women athletes should get paid more, and they were like, "Well, the numbers, the NBA's pulling in this, the
NBA was there in the 60s, 70s."
And that's why I said, but then let's put it in perspective. I said, here's the reason why the NBA should at least help build this league up, and the league should be a lot further along now than where it is. It's because the NBA laid the foundation. You can't be a construction company and lay the foundation and then leave and expect to just fill random people in positions and tell them, hey, I want this 16-story building built. Like, you can't do that. And I feel like the NBA has a responsibility for the WNBA. That's why they keep adding them to the All-Star weekend and doing all these things. So now what I would say is, let's change the WNBA season from where it's at and put it in where the NBA season is. and give them 82 games.
You know what I think they should
There's
do?
more than enough talent to do that and have them compete against the G League players.
They can't play 82 games. They can't do that. If the NBA does like a break in the season, like they're talking about doing a break in the season, put the WNBA season right there in between. Right there in between. Because as basketball is getting hot and going, as people like now want more NBA ball, there's like a 2 month, because that's as long as the WNBA season is. It's like 2 months.
But all right,
there's a month and a half gap.
But then you're messing with their European money, and they make way more in European than they make over here. So it's like
the issue is this:
they play, and to say that they can't play 82 games, like they currently play. When you think about the EuroLeague and you think about the WNBA, they're playing almost for 12 months and still making maybe 75% less than what.
Easily. This is the issue. When the NBA was still competing against the ABA, the ABA players in the ABA were making more money than the NBA. They didn't need to go to the NBA. They were making way more money. Like Julius Erving,
and they have freedom.
Dr. J went to the ABA for a reason, because he made more money and he had freedom, like you said. It wasn't until the NBA merged with the ABA, started adopting some of the ABA's rules, and then had to start paying the players more. That's when people started looking at the NBA like, whoa, this is a real professional league. Whoa, they're making more than doctors now. Whoa, maybe this is sometimes more my kiddie get into. That same thing needs to happen with WNBA. And not saying that they need to go out there and be making millions of dollars a year, but man, they should be more than state worker.
So you're saying they need a Michael Jordan? Because Michael Jordan.
Her name is Dianna Taurasi.
Michael Jordan.
She destroyed the league. Are you kidding me?
Michael Jordan globalized, and I mean it in a marketing sense. Michael Jordan globalized basketball. He globalized the NBA to the point where, you know, that's why he has a bigger rap than the Magics, and he has a bigger rap than the Larry Birds. Like, Larry Bird's one of those players that, like, everybody keeps discrediting. I'm like, fam, like, if you understand what the skill set he has.
No, they don't need a Magic Jordan. They don't need a Michael Jordan. Magic made $1 million a year. He did sign a 26-year deal, but he was paid $1 million a year. But I'm talking about in the sense of, when I say Michael Jordan, I'm talking about in the sense of globalization of women's basketball, especially that league. That league's not globalized like that. So I'm just saying, like, you're saying, like, well, this is why they went to the ABA, this is why they did this. Well, it wasn't until Jordan got to the league that the league started to be globalized. It started to be seen all across. Why not? They don't need to be globalized because they don't even have a foundation here. Why already jump? Why try to jump that whole step?
It's not a step. I think it's a part of the process. Like, they get bigger crowds in Europe than they do over here. So these players already, like, think about this. This is the biggest advantage that the WNBA player, that the average WNBA player has over the average NBA player right now. The WNBA player not just plays in their city, but they go and they play in Europe for 4 or 5 months. So when they go and play in Europe for 4 or 5 months, all those people that are fans from them over there, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to lock in. And I see it because I see it with Gabby Williams. Gabby Williams has a bigger fan base over across the seas, right? She had a great fan base in college. She tanked that same fan base because anybody that loves UConn is following all their UConn players still to this day. They follow her where she's at in the WNBA, then they follow her overseas. Now all those overseas people that are following her, now they follow her back over to the WNBA.
You're talking about one team that has a fanatical fan base in women's basketball. Not every school has that. Okay. Not even Tennessee has that anymore.
But I'm talking about what her effect when she goes overseas, and that overseas comes back over here. So when her fans from her new team come back over here, now it's a completely different game.
I understand.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Those players have to be respected enough here for that globalization to work over there. Because guess what? If I'm a European country, listen.
How are they more respected over there, though?
Listen. If I'm a European country, why do I need to follow the WNBA when they're coming over here anyways? But they're going to get paid more. Remember, a team of Russia paid Dianna Taurasi almost $3 million to sit out a year.
Which is why the WNBA needs it globalized. So now they're that option. They're what everybody.
Like 12
they're
teams,
still the pinnacle. Yeah, right now,
They
but it's
had
called
20 before.
but
They have
proper planning.
downsized.
Proper planning. It takes proper planning, and you're looking. And let's talk skill set. Just like the NBA is starting to, everything is starting to be even killed. So now, because skill set's starting to be even killed, you have what, 4 or 5 rounds. So but there's talent. The talent is there. They need to, exactly how they did it with the G League, because the G League started with how many teams before the NBA team started to get involved? So they started out with a handful of teams, like the 10 or 12. So I'm like, so between the G League and between the NBA, they kind of have an idea of how to expand the league when they need to expand it. But I'm just saying that they need to globalize it to the point where the games need to be played at better times. They need to be televised better.
That's for sure.
So because if they're televised better, you pick your favorite player. We're in an era where fans don't have, there's few fans, I'm one of them, where they don't have favorite teams. They have favorite players, right? So the more women's basketball opportunity that we have and we can see, like right now during this pandemic, everything that's going on, how come we haven't seen a single WNBA game from the past played on TV? It's not that people don't know what they want to watch. They're at home. This is the best time to put it on TV. This is the best time to start advertising what you have. The last playoff last year for the WNBA is probably one of the most exciting it's been in a long time. And maybe that's what happened. It was like when Houston was winning those championships that, it kind of dumbed the league down, or people was like, oh, well, they're constantly going to win, kind of like the Celtics. So the way I look at it is something's got to give,
These owners need to pay more money to these players so the average Joes at home could look at this and be like, yo, these are some real freaking athletes. They making more money than me.
And that's the issue. They put the money in. They got to put the money.
Yeah, there's a lack of respect for the women, for the WNBA athlete, because the average plumber at home is like, I make more money than you after taxes.
I mean, but plumbers make a lot of money.
But I'm just trying to say, I'm not trying to bash any career, but I'm just trying to say, the average Joe or Sally at home, I make more money than that. Like, what are they over here doing this?
And I think that a lot of that has to do with the NBA.
Maybe I sound like this because I'm a former coach, so I didn't have players who actually saw a viable option of playing professionally.
Yeah. And
whether
I think
it be overseas or whether it be here in America, because these women, it wasn't a goal for them.
But that's the thing, because it's all in opportunity and understanding opportunity. Like I have a friend that she ended up playing professional once she graduated out of college, and she had opportunities. The one school she wanted to go to, they didn't offer her. But when she played them in exhibition, she lit them up. But that didn't stop her from working on her game. But then, like, we've come across a lot of talented women that could play the game and didn't even get a fair shake in college, let alone an opportunity to play professionally. And we know a lot of people that could have played professionally at some point. It might not have been, grade A, but they still would have been able to play. A lot of that has to do, that's where the globalization comes from, because when you look at it, it's like women's international ball is on point. And for America to be as dominant in the sport that is so disrespected is interesting.
You know what might have to happen? You remember when Argentina came out of nowhere and rocked the United States? Mm-hmm. That just hasn't happened yet for women's basketball.
It's going to be a long time coming. I'm going to tell you that right now.
It just hasn't happened yet for women's basketball. Maybe if an international team rock the socks off Team USA, maybe that's when the WNBA / the NBA will be like, hold on now.
I mean, it's a long time coming. It's a long time before we get there. I mean, who knows? It could happen sooner than later, but I'm just a firm believer that the WNBA and women's basketball just need more respect. Like, they're real deal good players. Like we were talking about earlier, like one of the hardest players I ever had to guard was Skylar Diggins. Like she had a counter for every counter. Like, yeah, you read the scout report, oh, she's a lefty, she can do this, she can do that. All right, cool. Try to stop that, because she has answers for that. And she's not the only one. Like, yeah, everybody's like, well, she's an all-star. She works damn hard to be an all-star. And there's a lot of women out there that work super hard and they don't get what they, what they should get. So I would love to see Dianna Taurasi as an owner, because I think as an owner, she could change the game to the point where she knows these players should get paid.
Agreed. I would like to see her as an owner. I would like to see her in some role like that, just because there's not enough representation of WNBA players.
I would love to see more former WNBA players lighting that path to the WNBA, so they could set something up for the future of the women's sport. Like, I get it, like Kobe was a huge icon in women's basketball, but what about the Maya Moores? You know, what about the Sue Birds? What about the Dianna Taurasis? What about the Simone Augustus? Like, I mean, like, these are the ones that, like, you got to look at, and like, man, like, they all got it, you know. But maybe what the NBA needs to do is open it up and let some of these players, ladies, try to play in the league. Hey, it doesn't say it's a men's league. Doesn't say it's a men's league. I'm just saying, put your players up. That's the worst that can happen.
All right, Dianna, man.
Nah, something like that. But I mean, that talk has been had. There's several WNBA players that, you know, people feel like could play in the NBA today. I agree. I don't know to what capacity, but the right system could turn a role player to a superstar. So with that being said, you just put somebody that knows the game, like Becky Hammond's showing, like, she's moved up in the coaching rankings, not because of who she is. She moved up because of what she knows. And there's a lot of knowledge that could be transferred, but there's a lot of players that could change the game.
Like I said earlier, there are more former WNBA players who were paid by NBA teams than there are on WNBA teams. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
There are more former WNBA players in a coaching or management role in the NBA than there are in the WNBA. That needs to change.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. So we're basically running out of time. So I just want to thank every single person that took the time to sit back and listen to us and enjoy our conversations. If you have any comments, I suggest just leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Until next time, it's been real. It's been lovely. You got any comments that you want to leave? Anything you want to leave them out with?
Like I said last episode, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up.
Oh, yes. And follow her on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter as well. Our ads will be down below. If you got any concerns that you want to disagree, she's the one to disagree. She got the time. I'll probably read and laugh. But yeah, follow us, like, share, comment, do all of that. Until next time, y'all be real.